Ever noticed how some people just seem to have this seemingly innate self-confidence, whilst you're overthinking every word, questioning every action? I'm Shuvra Deb, and I'm a confidence and resilience coach and an intuitive healer, and I'm here with a mini-series on self-confidence. Today, we are going to learn all about some practical, easy to apply steps on how to improve self-confidence, because it's not innate, it's not something we're born with, it's a muscle and a skill that can be developed step by step. Here's how. I remember this one particular work experience placement that I had very early on in my career. I was about 20 or 21. It was in a barrister's chambers. All of the other students in the placement had gone to Oxford or Cambridge University, which is the equivalent of the Ivy League, and I felt intimidated, so intimidated. So intimidated, in fact, that I could barely speak, which is highly unusual for me, and that was the case even back then. And so during the course of this placement, one afternoon, we're all assembled together in a room, getting to know each other, and one of the barristers who was looking after us posed a legal question. He was working on a particular case and he wanted our opinion on the legal point that he was working through. So he asked his question, and there was silence, tumbleweed. No one said a thing. I thought about the question and I realized that I actually might know the answer, or at least some of it. And so in the middle of this silence, this tumbleweed, I very quietly and timidly ventured my answer. And then more silence, more tumbleweed. And of course, as you can probably imagine, at this point in time, I just wanted the ground to open up and swallow me up whole. But instead of being shot down or embarrassed, the barrister who'd posed the question, actually what was going on is that he was thinking about what I'd said, hence the silence from him. And then in response to what I'd said, he developed the point. And boy, was I relieved. But what that showed me was, well, two things about self-confidence. Firstly, just because somebody looks or may seem confident doesn't mean that they are. It doesn't mean that they have all the answers. And secondly, confidence is acquired by trying. We grow the muscle by practicing it. So in those moments, by venturing that answer, notwithstanding how unsure of myself I felt at the time, I pushed myself outside of my comfort zone. I mean, of course, the whole thing could have gone terribly wrong and I could have got the answer completely wrong. But even then, I would have learned something and I would have still gone out of my comfort zone. Here's the truth. Confidence doesn't always shout. It's quite often seen in those quiet, calm and grounded moments from those quiet people, the ones who don't say anything, and then when they do, they blow your mind. That's not to say that if you are loud and you have a presence that you're not confident or that you're not being authentic with your confidence. It just means that sometimes our culture can confuse extroversion with confidence. So with that, try this exercise. Grab a notebook or your cell phone and open up the Notes app on your phone. And ask yourself the question, where in my life do I already show up with confidence, even if it's not obvious? Where in my life do I already show up with confidence, even if it's not that obvious? This could be in the way you care for your kids, or the way you look after your pets. Or it could be that you are really cool, confident and clear in a crisis. Or perhaps it's in your honesty when nobody else is brave enough to venture the truth. So, write down, where in your life do you already show up with confidence, even if it's not an obvious area? And when I say not obvious, what I mean is that the kinds of areas where you do things confidently that go perhaps unnoticed or that don't have any applause or any obvious recognition. And then ask yourself, what does this kind of confidence show? What does this kind of confidence show? So for example, if you're caring for your kids or your pets and you do that confidently, then you're nurturing and you're kind and you're loving. If, for example, you're good in a crisis, then you're methodical, you're logical, you're good at thinking with clarity when perhaps everyone else around you is losing their head. And this kind of unique confidence could be your greatest strength. If there are other areas in your life where you would like to show up with that kind of confidence, then now's your opportunity to have a think about that. So ask yourself, what other area in my life would I like to show up with the kind of confidence that I already have? What other areas in my life would I like to show up with the kind of confidence I already have? Maybe it's sharing your ideas or your opinion in a team meeting at work or in some other kind of group gathering, perhaps with friends or relatives. It doesn't have to be groundbreaking or something new, just something that's meaningful for you, somewhere where you would like to develop. And then when the opportunity comes along, the next time you're in that group, in that team meeting, just step out of your comfort zone and do it with the kind of confidence that you already have in that other area that you've already identified, and say what you think, venture your opinion, and see what happens. One of my teachers and mentors, Lee Harris, speaks about practicing in public. So this could be your opportunity to practice in public. And even though I've had decades of practicing in public, but it's been in a very different way. So whether it's been talking in courtrooms, presenting my case, or answering a judge's questions, or batting off an opponent's point, or whether it's leading groups or team meetings, the kind of public speaking I'm doing now, speaking into a camera, speaking to you, that brings on a whole different kind of nerves and anxiety because it's new. And what I do with that is that I remind myself why I'm doing this, and the reason I'm doing it is hopefully to help you. So another thing that you can do when practicing in public with your new area in which you'd like to feel confident is to ask yourself, identify, and then remind yourself why you're doing it, your purpose, your reason. I hope this mini tutorial was helpful. If you're enjoying this content, then have a look in the notes below and you'll see a link to my free self-confidence guide, as well as a link to a full self-confidence video-based course that you can do at your own pace. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. See you next time. Bye for now.